this, Blake? Why? Why do you do this? Do you understand? You are not smarter than the internet. Crisis PR team never.
Why, Blake? Why do you weave such tangled webs of deceit? Why do you persist in this charade when it's painfully obvious you can't outsmart the relentless tide of the internet? Your crisis PR team must be sitting on their hands, twiddling. Their thumbs, because they never even had to roll out a contingency plan. The story of Blake Lively's supposed villainy imploded all on its own, and the fallout has been spectacular. This isn't just a tale of a celebrity misstep, it's the saga of a narcissist who zeroed in on someone she perceived as vulnerable, only to have her scheme blow up in her face like a poorly timed firecracker. Now, the conversation is shifting to a tantalizing possibility. Could Blake Lively soon be trading her designer gowns for an orange prison jumpsuit? Yes, you heard that right. Jail time might be looming on the horizon for Hollywood's golden girl. As more details emerge about what Blake and her husband Ryan Reynolds allegedly orchestrated, it's starting to look like they might have been scrambling to cover up something far more sinister than a mere professional spat. Candace Owens has entered the chat with a stack of receipts, and if you've been keeping up, you know the situation is looking dire for Blake right now. But should we muster up some sympathy for her? Should we extend a compassionate hand? The resounding answer, my friends, is a firm no. There's your verdict, plain and simple. The notion that Blake could actually face a prison sentence for what's being described as a horrific act is no longer just wild speculation. It's a scenario gaining traction. Rumors are swirling that she may have fabricated or twisted key evidence in her ongoing legal battle with Justin Baldoni, her co-star and director from It Ends With Us. Yesterday, we were all on edge, waiting for the latest amendment to her legal filings to drop. And now that it's here, the stakes have skyrocketed. If these allegations hold even a shred of truth in court, Blake's situation could spiral from a messy lawsuit to a full-blown criminal case. Lawsuits are par for the course in Hollywood. Celebrities sling them at each other like confetti, often settling with a fat check and a carefully crafted statement that says nothing of substance. But the idea of someone like Blake Lively, a Tinseltown darling, actually staring down jail time, that's a plot twist worthy of a blockbuster. Insiders are whispering that the evidence piling up against her is robust enough to raise serious eyebrows, and that's putting it mildly. All the behind-the-scenes scoops point to one thing. Blake and Ryan tried to strong-arm Baldoni into bending to their will, and when he didn't, they unleashed a campaign so dirty it might just land them in handcuffs. Now, some of you might be tempted to say, oh, but poor Blake looks so uncomfortable lately. Maybe we should cut her some slack. Candace Owens and the internet have a unified response to that. Absolutely not. She torpedoed someone's livelihood with what many are calling a web of lies. And now the heat is on. It's becoming glaringly obvious that Blake is feeling the pressure. Candace pointed out that her anxiety practically radiates through the screen these days. And she's not wrong. Just take a look at any recent clip of Blake in public. Her nervous energy is palpable. Here's one example. What happens in the third one? No, I'm joking. Capri in Rome, honestly. So, Paul, we really wanted to make this second movie, and I was like, Paul, he wanted to shoot in Capri, and I was like, that sounds amazing, but it's very expensive. The rambling, the awkward pauses, the jittery delivery, it's almost unbearable to watch. She's been stepping out in public looking like a deer in headlights, her face screaming, oh no, they're on to me. But here's the kicker. When you get caught red-handed doing something despicable, it's not the public's job to absolve you, especially when you haven't even bothered to say sorry. Blake isn't apologizing. She's not owning up to anything. She's not even putting on a show of remorse. So why on earth should we feel bad for her? The chatter online is brutal. People are pointing out that she's still playing the victim card, refusing to show an ounce of regret. Candace is adamant that Blake knows the storm that's brewing after allegedly faking evidence. And this sudden shift in her public persona, hugging fans, flashing grateful smiles, acting like she's campaigning for prom queen is nothing more than a desperate stab at damage control. This isn't the Blake Lively we've known for years. We're used to a Blake who's aloof, brushing off reporters like they're beneath her, exuding an air of untouchable superiority. Now, she's pivoted to Miss Congeniality overnight. Please. This isn't personal growth. It's a calculated performance from someone who's having a full-blown internal meltdown and scrambling to salvage her image. You can practically feel her anxiety seeping through the screen. And Candace has even speculated that she might be popping anxiety meds to cope. Would that surprise anyone? Not really. If I were facing the prospect of the world seeing me for who I truly am, potentially rotting in a jail cell, I'd be a nervous wreck too. So let's dig into the meat of why Blake might actually be headed for prison. The story goes that she leveraged her A-list status, her industry clout, and, yes, even some high-profile friends, we'll circle back to that, to obliterate Justin Baldoni's reputation. Why? Because he dared to adapt a book about domestic violence into a movie, and apparently that rubbed her the wrong way. She and Ryan allegedly launched an all-out assault, trying to pin something on Baldoni that may not have even happened. Candace is dead serious when she says Blake could end up behind bars, and if you're starting to feel a twinge of pity, let me jog your memory. Go back and read those text messages, the ones so damning that even Ryan, the king of PR spin, is now begging to be cut loose from the lawsuit. His filing is a spectacle in itself. The man is sprinting away from this legal mess like it's a burning building, and it's not hard to see why. He knows where this train is headed, and it's not a happy ending. The couple's alleged playbook is straight out of a Hollywood thriller. First, they hit Baldoni with a financial ultimatum. Toe the line, or we'll walk away from your project and leave you drowning in debt. Then came the supposed behind-the-scenes blackmail, with whispers that they even dangled Taylor Swift as a bargaining chip to get their way. Before you pin this all on Ryan as the mastermind, let's not forget that Blake handpicked him to represent her in those contract meetings. This wasn't just a doting husband backing his wife. It was a deliberate partnership in a scheme that's now spiraling into legal quicksand. Ryan's desperate bid to extricate himself makes sense, but it's too late to play innocent. There's a pattern here, and it's damning. Allegations of blackmail keep cropping up around this duo. If you don't play ball, suddenly there are mysterious harassment claims floating around. Sound familiar? It's the same tactic they allegedly used to oust a composer from the film. Patterns like that aren't coincidences, they're evidence. Blake and Ryan clearly thought they were invincible. They figured they could bury Baldoni's career with a few well-placed fabrications, manipulate the system, and watch him fade into obscurity. But they underestimated one critical factor. The internet doesn't forget. Once people started digging, the house of cards began to crumble. Now, they're filing motions to dismiss the lawsuit, pleading to be let off the hook. You could argue that's not inherently evil, but given what they allegedly set in motion, it's hard to muster much sympathy. And if you're still clinging to the idea that Blake's some misunderstood angel, let's rewind to a simple favor. Anna Kendrick did us all a solid by subtly exposing Blake's true colors. At the film's premiere, Blake insisted on being front and center, turning it into the Blake Lively show while everyone else was relegated to the background. That's her MO. Until now, people aren't buying tickets to her one-woman act anymore. Take Anna Kendrick's red carpet moment as proof. When asked about working with Blake again, her response was a masterclass in polite shade. An awkward pause, a forced smile, and a vibe that screamed, "This was a nightmare, but I'm contractually obligated to grin and bear it." Later, when pressed about how the drama was affecting the sequel, she quipped, "Why, what happened? I did ayahuasca, and the last year of my life is just gone. But I've heard the movie's amazing." Translation, she knows the tea, but she's not here to mop up Blake's mess. No one is. Blake's co-stars aren't rushing to her defense, and that's the final nail in the coffin. Candace is convinced this isn't just a PR disaster or a cancellation. It's a legal reckoning with real consequences. We're talking jail time, not just a slap on the wrist. What's Blake thinking right now? Probably that she almost pulled it off. If it weren't for the relentless sleuths online refusing to let this die, she might still be strutting through Hollywood, head held high, pretending she's royalty. Instead, she's unraveling. The anxiety, the panic, it's all there for the world to see. And honestly, good. Actions have consequences. And this time, those consequences might come with bars and a mugshot. Candace has made it crystal clear. There's no forgiveness, no forgetting. When someone goes out of their way to ruin another person's life for no good reason, they don't deserve a pass. They get what's coming to them, and for Blake, that could mean a courtroom showdown that ends in a cell.